Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you are all having a great day to start things off. Bitcoin's price has soared above 10,000 US dollars on cryptocurrency exchanges for the first time in the last 15 months. The price hopped the $10,000 barrier at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. At the moment, even this is already outdated for those who do not know or are not looking at the screen or have something else to do or have not been really paying attention. Bitcoin is currently sitting at 10,768 US dollars, give or take, depending on which cryptocurrency exchange or price metric that you are looking at. There are a lot of people who are coming forward and talking about Bitcoin price predictions, as is to be expected. A lot of people were expecting Bitcoin's price to go over $10,000 sometime this weekend. Lo and behold, we have already far out surpassed that. A lot of people think that what's happening right now is that we could be in the midst of an event where Bitcoin is going to try and hit 11,000. There may be some resistance. A lot of people think that the main barrier of resistance was the $10,000 level, which is why we are currently almost up $800 above that, which is absolutely insane. Currently up 10.75% from even just above the $10,000 level. Yesterday, Bitcoin's price, oh gosh, it was like 9,978, and it was driving me completely insane that it just wouldn't go up that extra $30 just to kind of jump over the line, and lo and behold, we have definitely done so. This article says Bitcoin is about to pump 87%. Where will it slow down? So depending on where you look, depending on who you get your information from, the main idea, first of all, those other people who kept on talking about that Bitcoin was going back down to 1,200, 2,200, and 3,000, you hear almost nothing from them anymore. I wonder why. Really weird, right? The general sentiment right now is that once we had passed the $10,000 mark, this would kind of be the big moment for everything to kind of start surging. So the numbers are looking kind of interesting right now. A lot of people think that we are going to try and hit 11,000. If we can pass by 11,000, then 11,000, I think people are saying 11,500, 11,600 might be the strong levels of resistance if we can pass by those. And obviously we have the 12, 13, 14, 15. Apparently 15 is also another really major one. But the number that everyone besides the $10,000 number, which we have finally passed by, thank goodness, is the $20,000 number. As we get closer to that, this is when we kind of get that real mainstream kind of hype and stuff going on. I'm pretty sure you've noticed, I've definitely noticed on normal television, CNBC, all those other letters and stuff like that, especially when you watch videos about them on YouTube. If they're talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, the pessimism seems to have gone away. It's more so now, okay, we have passed by this number. We're definitely going to hit this number. And they have all these analysts on talking about exactly where the price is going to go. And it's no longer this, I'm so glad that we don't hear about the old days of cryptocurrencies anymore, because before, the issue that we had in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space was that every single time that Bitcoin shot up in price, it was always something on the news about, well, you know, this is associated with Silk Road and this is associated with drugs. So we've definitely got past this whole Bitcoin is for criminals things, especially since we've started seeing a slew of, what's the word, laws and regulations around the cryptocurrency space. I think one of the more interesting ones right now is that a lot of people are saying that, depending on where you kind of want to look or how far you think this is going to go, that the $100,000 Bitcoin is apparently in play, and that we may reach it either sometime this year or sometime at the beginning of next year. Why, you might ask? I mentioned this before in another video. The most important thing that we needed, or that we wanted to pass by as a Bitcoin price, was anything over $10,000. $10,000 is that huge psychological level. There's a reason why we went $10,001 and shot up almost $800 directly after that, is because people around the world for some reason needed that 5-digit number and started to FOMO into the market. On top of that as well, if you've been paying attention, because I'm pretty sure I definitely have, Fidelity, New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, TD Ameritrade, and what's the other one? None of these things have officially launched. All the major big names are expected to launch either the end of this month or sometime in July. Like the people from Bakkt said, I think their date is the 22nd of July or something like that. So keep in mind that Bitcoin has passed, at least at the moment of me making this video, the $10,000 barrier. This is what we needed. This is what we needed to get more into the news, to cause more people around the world to say, hey, I remember that. I wanted to buy some. Looks like the price is going up. Let me buy some of it. And this is going to happen millions and tens of millions of times around the world, even amongst, these are just the people who aren't into cryptocurrency right now. They're going to start buying, and more people who are already into the cryptocurrency space are going to continue buying as well. There's a huge initiative happening around the world right now. Look into it. Some people call it stacking sats. It sounds a little weird to me. It comes down to stacking Satoshis, buying as many Satoshis as you possibly can. While it may not be economically viable for someone to buy an entire Bitcoin, a lot of people are simply starting to buy as many Satoshis as they possibly can with the money that they do currently have liquidly available that they don't need for other important things, i.e., if you're going to start buying into Bitcoin or stuff like that, don't FOMO into the market. Simply put what you can afford to lose. The idea is that eventually when we end up, I mean, it's been widely speculated that at some point in the next 2 years, we are going to, this is, you know, is what the analysts say, that we are going to pass over a $250,000, $500,000, and then $1 million Bitcoin. And at that point, people will only be counting things in Satoshi. So the idea is to gather up as many Satoshis as humanly possible. I think that the way that the movement of the market has been going, a lot of people are saying, and I kind of believe this because I think that people get afraid of what they should not be afraid of. I think that Bitcoin is going to continue moving upward for at least a little bit. There may be some pullback. I don't expect like a 90% pullback. That I think is completely out of the cards at this point. I'm expecting, I have my own idea of where I think it's going to go, but more conservatively, I'm assuming anywhere between the 30 to 50,000, maybe even $60,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year. It seems like once we get the major names, once we get all the proper regulation in place, this may then be the catalyst for that eventual six-figure Bitcoin. Anyway, yeah, we finally did it. It was a long time coming. For those of you who have lasted during the entirety of the bear market, give yourself a little golf clap. I'm clapping with one hand. You can't really see that. Anyway, yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, Ethereum has finally, once again, crossed the $300 US mark. The price of Ethereum's native cryptocurrency, Ether, surpassed $300 today to hit 10-month highs. The world's second largest cryptocurrency by market cap climbed above the psychological hurdle at 1 a.m. UTC and extended further gains to $306, a level last seen August 19th, 2018. So I think this is the, yep, right here. There's a lot of stuff happening with Ethereum, and it's very fascinating because I think Ethereum has kind of more or less come into its own as what exactly it's going to be used for. And I think it's starting to finally show that this is all going to be a thing, if I can kind of say that. The promise of Ethereum 2.0 is bliss for Ether holders as Cloudflare, there we go, Cloudflare positions itself. Prices are rallying. Week to date, Ethereum is up 13.1% and could blast above 300. Yep, it already did so. There we go. The path for a better Ethereum is on, and ETH investors stand to reap huge benefits. Trading below $300, Vitalik is brimming with confidence. It all has to do with the recent update of phase 0 of the Beacon chain, comprised of sharding and the shift to proof of stake. Ethereum will be faster, scalable, and distinctively energy efficient. However, the overarching goal is to cement its possible, okay, as a preferred smart contract platform, which I already think it kind of has. Regardless of the price going down in 2018, we're 2019 now. A lot of people never really, I can't even really say didn't really lose faith. There was a huge period over 2018 where there was just tons of negative news against Ethereum, but I kept on saying it's kind of weird that there's so much negative news when we had news about all these other countries and institutions and banks and stuff like that building on top of the Ethereum blockchain. Where's the really important part? Financing projects, scalable, secure, decentralized network. Next wave could see ETH register new heights. Beneficial for enterprises. Ethereum will be vital infrastructure, not to forego an opportunity. Cloudflare is launching an Ethereum gateway. It said it's another tool in Cloudflare's distributed web gateway toolset. Through a blog post, the web security firm said, and I do quote, "We are excited to announce Cloudflare's Ethereum gateway, where you can interact with the Ethereum network without installing any additional software on your computer," end quote. This is So typically every other day we've had some type of news of some major entity who's thinking about building on top of Ethereum. I assume that they probably had interest in doing so since around early to mid 2018 when we had that dry spell where no one was really releasing any type of major interesting type of news. So I assume this is why they're kind of doing everything right now. Very big. The main glue that's going to kind of hold all of this together, it's kind of like cookie crumbs that spread all over the place. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to have cookies with glue anyway, but you kind of get what I'm saying, is that when we get final proof of when the update for Ethereum 2.0 is going to happen, or even for concrete, no, just for it to happen, when that finally takes shape and form, a lot of people once again are expecting Ethereum to hit anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000. These are the numbers that we're getting for 2020. I think Ethereum, I think the wider cryptocurrency market, if we end up having a major push, like a huge jump towards $20,000, I think the wider cryptocurrency market is also going to benefit from this. I don't think many other coins will be performing as well as Bitcoin. I'll tell you exactly why in a couple of minutes, but I think Ethereum is going to do extremely well. If Ethereum does hit $10,000 next year, I don't even know what I would think about doing. It's been such a long hurdle and like a long struggle for this thing to kind of get up and running. And yeah, let's move on. Here we go. The governor of the Reserve Bank of Australia, his name is Philip Lowe, cautions that Facebook's announced virtual currency known as the Libra may not attain mainstream usage in the near future, according to a report by Bloomberg on the 20th of June. The report quotes Lowe as follows regarding Libra. He said, and I do quote, "There's a lot of water under the bridge before Facebook's proposal becomes something we're using all the time. There are a lot of regulatory issues that need to be addressed, and they've got to make sure there's a solid business case. We've got to be careful before we jump to conclusions," end quote. Lowe reportedly also criticized the top cryptocurrency by market cap, Bitcoin, in 2017. The RBA governor is said to have complained that it rose to prominence due to a speculative mania and further conjectured that criminals were likely more drawn to it than customers. Libra and Bitcoin aside, Lowe reportedly does not think cryptocurrency is viable for Australia due to purportedly utility of its pre-existing electronic payment system. He said, "I have long thought that a kind of cryptocurrency would not take off in Australia because we already have a very, very efficient electronic payment system that allows any one of us to make bank payments to another person in 5 seconds just knowing their mobile phone number." So the takeaway here is from the Libra thing, because there's more Libra news, and Libra is, I'll tell you what's happening with Libra in a little bit. Here's another really good one. On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve Jerome Powell was asked about his latest thoughts on Bitcoin, crypto assets, and Libra. Once again, true to his nature as an integral piece of traditional finance, the chairman of one of the world's most powerful institutions didn't express fear. In fact, echoing a quip he made in 2018, he claimed that cryptocurrencies, even Libra, aren't big enough to pose a threat to Wall Street yet. Powell even lauded this budding sector, expressing that there is innovation in blockchain and digital assets that should be looked at. While Powell seems to not be concerned about Bitcoin and its ilk, one prominent investor claims that Bitcoin is rapidly moving towards becoming an alternative and hedge to the US dollar and other fiat monies. That is, once again, I mentioned this, I think, on Wednesday or Tuesday. If you have not been paying attention to what's been happening around the world, especially for financial news, people are buying up Bitcoin as a hedge against the US dollar, because it's widely believed that between Libra, between all the other stuff that we have going on around the world, that people are trying to find an alternative to the US dollar, especially. You don't hear too much about this. I can't remember exactly what the initiative was called. It was something that came out 3, 4, 5 years ago. It was Great Britain. Wow. It was Great Britain, Germany, like 5 other countries. It was China, so and so. You can maybe find the information for it. They kind of came together to try and create a consortium that would kind of go around or circumvent the US dollar. And this has continued to happen. I think that initiative may have not done as well as they thought that it was going to do. But there are constantly initiatives like this around the world where people are constantly being sanctioned for things that, first of all, sanctions are completely a very weird idea. And for those of you who don't remember, I believe it was earlier this year, or maybe even the very tip of the end of last year, someone in the US was talking about sanctioning Germany because something that one of their ministers had said or something like that. And it's kind of like this really weird thing floating around everyone's heads for months now. Travis Kling, a former portfolio manager at fund giant Point72, has been absolutely harrowed about the fiscal strategies enlisted by the Federal Reserve and his counterparts across the globe. Kling, who now runs prominent crypto fund Ikigai, has bought his rhetoric to every outlet from Anthony Pompliano's Off the Chain to CNN. The Bitcoin bull believes that the current quantitative easing period is one of the most irresponsible and largest monetary policy experiments in human history, citing the fact that this policy has propped up financial markets across the globe. I'm totally fine with that. The more money that governments print, the better it is for cryptocurrencies, because we have these metrics. We know exactly how much they're printing. We know exactly the amount of inflation that's actually taking place around the world. So I don't have a real problem with that. I love when people from the Federal Reserve or any major world financial, federal, centralized, anything bank, when they talk about Bitcoin, when they say that Bitcoin does not pose a threat to them, or even when they just really brush it to the side and say, no, things are fine, because we know that things aren't fine. We know that things are crumbling rapidly around the world, especially when you see the metrics and the prices. It would be one thing if we didn't have the internet and we heard from these leaders and they're like, everything's fine. And we're like, okay, let's trust them because they know what's going on. But the fact that we are able to see the charts about the cryptocurrency spikes around the world, how many more people are buying Bitcoin, how many protests and stuff are happening around the world, and during these protests, people are buying more cryptocurrency, buying more Bitcoin. All the other news that we've had from the major financial players who are also buying Bitcoin, the speculation that banks and other governments around the world are possibly also buying Bitcoin, because it's probably more likely that major governments are probably also starting to think about as well, of starting to accumulate Bitcoin themselves. So I have always felt for a while that, at least maybe for the last year, I think they understand where it's going, but you can't create a public frenzy. Can you imagine what would happen to the world's financial, think of it this way. Think of what would happen to the world's financial system if you had the central bank of the UK, Germany, France, the United States, Canada, Japan, and South Korea all announce, yeah, Bitcoin's a problem for us. Bitcoin's going to become too strong, and we're scared of it hitting $1 million because people are just going to start using Bitcoin. Do you know how many people around the world would freak out and sell everything they own, probably myself included, and push it into Bitcoin as fast as humanly possible? So they say things like this because they can't say anything otherwise. I know that they're aware and are probably, allegedly, are scared of Bitcoin. I mean, especially with Libra as well, with the whole talk of Libra trying to become the world's largest central bank. Why do you think all these major banks and stuff like that, like 2 days after they announced that this thing was coming out, that they all decided to just start talking about Facebook? They know exactly what's planned and what's coming. On top of the discussion of them printing as much money as possible, for those who have never seen this, it's the world debt clock. Trillions of dollars that are owed to other countries that is never, ever, 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 ever going to get paid back. The higher this number goes, the better it gets for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, because there are some economists who believe that there may be a point where people start, what's the word? Like countries asking for their money back. Nobody knows if that's going to happen, but there have been other times before when countries have not been too nice with each other, where they have demanded that their debt be paid back. And at the moment, the U.S. has trillions, 100,000 million, billion, 22 trillion dollars owed in national debt. Yeah, insane, insane, insane. Let's move on. Here's a really good one. Facebook might not launch its virtual currency named Libra in India due to restrictions on the usage of digital currency within the country. The social networking giant has not approached the Reserve Bank of India, or the RBI, for permission to launch the currency in the Indian market. IBI has barred cryptocurrency in India, citing reasons such as growing threat to the economy. I'm glad they know that. Oh, good for them. With increase in fraudulent activities, money laundering, and tax evasion. Adding legal understanding to RBI's restrictions on cryptocurrencies, experts have said, there we go, that a forceful introduction of crypto in the Indian market will lead to the multiple penalties on Facebook. Under Section 79 of the Indian IT Act, Facebook is obligated to take all due care in ensuring its network or platform is not used for illegal activities like dealing in cryptocurrency. Wow, I thought I was going to say drugs. Illegal activities like dealing in cryptocurrencies in India. Wow, that's ridiculous. Section 79 would apply for Facebook, even though it is based out of India. Section 75 of the IT Act also gives extraterritorial jurisdiction to the law. Managing partner at Tech Ledges Advocates and Solicitors, according to the Economic Times, as per legal permits, only peer-to-peer transactions of Bitcoin are allowed because they can't stop it. Facebook's crypto is not designed to be a closed system and is meant for transactions in the external economy, which concerns the Reserve Bank of India. For those who are keeping track, that is the US. I believe that's Canada. That is all of Europe, India, and I believe also Russia, and Australia, who have all backlashed, have said negative things about Libra and Facebook and its crypto because they understand exactly where this is going and what Facebook is trying to do. And the most interesting part to note is that they have all stated, nearly every single country, those who are against it, have said that Facebook has not sat with them or even asked them for permission, which is crazy, to launch their own stable coin currency thing that they're trying to do. So what it's looking like, according to analysts and according to other people who are aware of the laws in multiple countries, what they're saying is that what could end up happening is that Facebook's cryptocurrency could potentially be allowed in these countries. However, it would only be allowed within that country, meaning that money could never pass through borders. It would only be allowed to be sent amongst people who are within their own country, which defeats the purpose of them launching their own cryptocurrency because it's meant to be borderless and also worldwide. A lot of people are also thinking that this currency may never actually be released. There's far too much of a backlash. It was widely thought that when Facebook did launch their cryptocurrency, that India would be the first place. We had news about this for at least 3 months. When we first had news that Facebook was launching their own cryptocurrency, it was believed that India would be the first launch off point, stepping off point, jump off point. It would be the first spot where they kind of launched this. Apparently that may not happen. So we are still in the dark as far as what the Reserve Bank of India is saying about cryptocurrencies within India. We know nothing. There's been no real news outside of India as to exactly what is legal, what's not illegal, blah, 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 blah. So, I don't want to get too excited and say that it's not going to happen. I'm pretty sure that Facebook has enough money to kind of throw at people and say, no, we're going to launch this. But I think a lot of the restrictions are definitely going to be there. It is not going to be as widespread as I think other people thought that it was going to be. There's far too much of a risk, if you kind of want to say that, for governments and banks to not only have Bitcoin on their backs, but to also have I think Facebook has 2.1 billion or 2.4 billion. I always don't really care about the number, but I know it's over 2 billion people across all of their platforms. Them becoming the largest central bank in the entire world in a matter of months is not something that governments want. So even Facebook coin has been amazing because not only has it taken away more focus from Bitcoin so that Bitcoin can just continue to develop and governments really don't really care about it as much anymore. But if Facebook's currency does launch, like I mentioned before, we're going to be able to see the actual devaluation of it in accordance with Bitcoin's price as time ends up going on. It's just, it's only win-win for us. It's this really weird, it's the same exact thing that we heard from the guy from Ripple yesterday, Brad Garlinghouse. He was like, yeah, I want to give them a box of champagne. He said they've been onboarding so many new customers since Facebook announced this because life, I mean, my goodness, it's just so freaking exciting. To kind of finish things off, a new development in the Kleiman v. Wright lawsuit. was announced today as part of the plaintiff's representation disclosed that Wright has not complied with a court directive to list his Bitcoin holdings prior to December 31st, 2013. For those who do not understand exactly what that's talking about, the head of Satoshi's vision has claimed that he is in fact Satoshi Nakamoto and that he did create Bitcoin. A couple of months ago, there is or was or is still ongoing a lawsuit between the Kleiman family versus Craig Wright, because the Kleiman family says that Craig Wright stole 1.1 million Bitcoin from them, which Craig Wright says, nope, I never did. I am in possession of them. They are my Bitcoin. On Monday, that is to say a couple of days ago, a judge in Florida told Craig Wright, you have to come forward with all the proof and documentation in person. You have to stand in front of me in court and tell me and show me exactly that you hold 1.1 million Bitcoin. And apparently, he did not do it. A showcase hearing will follow next week, and Wright may be ordered in contempt of court at either the civil or criminal level. Vili Friedman of Boyes Schiller Flexner LLP, the firm representing plaintiff Ira Kleiman, tweeted, Craig Wright hasn't complied with the court order to list his Bitcoin as of the 31st of December of 2013. He remains under an order to showcase why Jay Reinhardt shouldn't issue sanctions under R.37 and order him to appear before Jay Bloom to explain why he shouldn't be held in contempt. Florida Judge Bruce Reinhardt had ordered Craig Wright, who claims to have invented Bitcoin software, to disclose his Bitcoin addresses in an ongoing lawsuit filed by the estate of the former business partner David Kleiman. Without going any further, I mentioned this on, what was it, last Saturday? I said, Mr. Craig Wright, who says he is Satoshi Nakamoto, many times over the years, multiple times, was ordered by a judge to appear before the judge on Monday, a couple of days ago, to show proof that he was indeed Satoshi Nakamoto, and he has not done so. So, we'll get probably part 15 of this story sometime next week, because, I mean, yeah, I could go on for hours about this, but for the sake of my own sanity, let's move on. As always, an enormously special, gigantimous thank you to my Patreon supporters. Auspicious, Agile, and Blockchain, Professor Wally from Gunbot University, My Keto Kitchen, Adobo, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, Brady Niels, L. Doug, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, Crypto Joe, Mohair Maroney, Carl Birchenoff, singer-songwriter Mike Savitz, Rai, Yasha Haradi, Amy Starsheen, Jeffrey Ramsey, Clarity Snowden, Crypto Artist, Goldie 3D, Nicholas, One Earth, One Peace, One Love, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich, The Third, RF Dusty, Cody, Vlad the Impaler, Paxis, Tom and Sammer, Losers, Haha, Jeremy the Photographer, Jim Gardner, Minting Coins, Arthur Yaku, Nick Mangelavori, Anthony Charles, and Nick. Thank you all very much for your support at the moment. For those who are not looking at the screen, Bitcoin is currently at $10,725 US across the board. Many other major altcoins are on the up and up. Ether is currently up by 7.12%. XRP is up by 3.4%. Litecoin 2.4%. EOS 2.7%. Binance Coin is up 4.7%. If you are not looking at the screen, for those of you who are, you may notice that there is red on the screen, and it is the Satoshi price of every single cryptocurrency in accordance with the Satoshi price. They're all going down because Bitcoin is showing once again its dominance across the wider cryptocurrency space, while the USD price of all these coins may be going up in accordance with Bitcoin or in collaboration, participation. No, just against the Satoshi price. None of those words were right. Everything else is going down. This is something that analysts had spoken about for quite a long amount of time. There were many other prominent heads of the cryptocurrency space who said that this was going to happen, and because it was going to be the beginning of Bitcoin solidifying itself as a store of value worldwide currency, that the Satoshi price amongst all the coins would be going down. Isn't it interesting? Lumens is down 6.7% Satoshi-wise. Cardano 7.7%, Tron 5.3%, Leo token 10.17% in accordance with the Satoshi price. Oh, yeah, they're all down. Tezos is down 14. Bitcoin is, this may be it. No one knows. No one knows what's happening in the wider cryptocurrency space, but it appears that this may be the moment that we have all been waiting for Bitcoin to finally start moving. And this is before, once again, this is all just in anticipation of, or rather, this is worldwide economic events taking shape, which are just terrible. This is all the protests and madness that we have going around the world. This is the hyperinflation that we see going on around many countries. This is the restriction of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in many other countries by world economic powers, which doesn't really make a lot of sense because you can still buy and sell Bitcoin through other apps and dApps and maps and slaps, all these other things, however people kind of want to. And even more so, this is all before. We are still about a good year away from the Bitcoin reward getting cut in half. And that's where we get those magical $100,000 to $250,000 Bitcoin prices. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. Great times ahead. Oh my gosh. Waves is down by 11.5%. and is down by 20% next to the Satoshi price. Yeah, so once again, look into the entire stacking Satoshis movement, or stacking sats, as it's being called on Twitter. It's quite interesting. I and many other people believe that we will eventually get to a point where things are only going to be denominated in Satoshis, especially in the cryptocurrency space. So if you are into cryptocurrencies, I behoove you, or it behooves you, or we are behooving you to do your own research. I don't know if anyone got that English joke. Anyway, to do your own research as always, and to look into the possibility of maybe owning some Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is probably going to continue to do well, even if we do have a dip in price. It is probably at some point going to continue going up. I want to make sure that everyone out there makes money. And yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. See you.